Welcome back to the channel. If you've been following our coverage of the Ted Shuttlesworth Jr. story, buckle up, because things have taken a major turn. The church is now closed, the ministry has gone dark, and we have the letter where Ted Jr. confesses everything in his own words. We're breaking it all down today, so stay with me. For those just catching up, Ted Shuttlesworth Jr. is a prominent Pentecostal pastor and evangelist, son of veteran evangelist Ted Shuttlesworth Sr., and cousin to Jonathan Shuttlesworth. He built a significant following through Miracle Word Church in West Palm Beach, Florida, through his podcast, his social media presence, and a very active online ministry that included daily teachings and revival events across the country. Days ago, we broke the story that Ted Jr. had stepped down from ministry after confessing to adultery, admitting to what he described as inappropriate conversations with women, conversations that, as he himself confirms, escalated into a full-blown sexual affair. That story sent shockwaves through the Pentecostal and charismatic world. Now, we have the follow-up, and it's even bigger. Miracle Word Church is shut down. Not on hiatus, not on a brief sabbatical, closed. While the church's social media pages have been silent for weeks, a physical banner now hanging at the church building in West Palm Beach confirms it. The church is closed. The website, miraclewordchurch.com, it now simply reads, Miracle Word Church is closed. No schedule, no events, nothing. According to our sources, the closure was formally announced to the congregation at last week's Sunday service. So the people in those pews found out their church was shutting its doors in real time, from the pulpit. Now here's something important that we need to address. And this is significant. According to sources familiar with the situation, Ted Shuttlesworth Jr. was actually outed several months ago. He did not come forward on his own timeline. He waited, until now, to inform his ministry partners. That's a detail that matters when we're evaluating the nature of this confession and the level of accountability here. Let's look at the timeline on how we GPT here, because the details are telling. Ted Jr.'s social media went essentially silent in mid-February 2026. His last original post on X was January 25th, a teaching called 3 Reasons Christians Can Be Overjoyed, on day 21 of a 21-day fast his church was holding. His podcast's last episodes dropped around January 22nd. His last Instagram activity was a Valentine's Day post on February 14th, tagging his wife Carolyn. Then, nothing. The last church livestream on record was February 15th, a Sunday service featuring a special guest identified as Evangelist Ted Shuttlesworth, almost certainly Ted Sr., his father. That was the last service. By February 25th, the story had broken publicly. Now here's where the family dynamics get interesting. Before Ted Jr. made any public statement, 2 prominent members of the Shuttlesworth family were already addressing ministry scandals, without naming names. Jonathan Shuttlesworth, Ted Jr.'s first cousin, he posted a live broadcast on February 3rd titled, Important. Jonathan addresses recent and upcoming scandal in ministry live. He spoke broadly about integrity and accountability in ministry, and Tiff Shuttlesworth, Ted Jr.'s uncle, posted a YouTube video on February 8th called My Response to Sexual Scandal, God's Plan for Broken Leaders, Studying Biblical Restoration for Fallen Leaders. Neither named Ted Jr. directly. But the timing is not subtle. They clearly knew something was coming. So what's left of the ministry? For now, co-pastor Carolyn Shuttlesworth, Ted Jr.'s wife, will continue leading the church's Unshakable Women's Bible Study ministry. The message on the website indicates, Pastor Carolyn will continue our Unshakable Women's Bible Study. These events are hosted within 30 minutes of West Palm Beach, most often from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. This is a great time for building relationships with other faith-filled women as we dive into the Word together. Every month we post details and upcoming dates and locations for our women's Bible studies. That's significant. The woman who was publicly betrayed is the one holding what's left of this thing together. There's something both admirable and heartbreaking about that picture. Ted Jr.'s broader platform, his YouTube channel, his podcast, his social media, all dark. No word yet on any formal restoration process. No accountability structure has been named publicly. and no timeline has been given for what stepping away from ministry actually looks like in practice. In a letter exclusively obtained by Protestia, Ted Jr. sent to his ministry partners, and it is striking in several ways. I want to read portions of it directly so you can hear his words. He writes, "Unfortunately, in the midst of so many miracles and breakthroughs, I let my own guard down. I failed to stand in my authority when temptations came." He continues, "My actions opened the door, which I allowed, for sin to come in through loose and inappropriate conversations with the opposite sex." And then the most direct admission, "These sinful actions culminated in sexual activity with a woman who was not my wife. I'm extremely ashamed and deeply grieved by my actions." He then states, and I'll give him credit for this line, "This letter contains no excuses because there are none. As believers, we should always hold ourselves to a standard of uncompromising holiness. Anything less is displeasing to the Lord." He closes by speaking about his wife Carolyn, calling her the greatest gift the Lord has given me outside of his salvation, saying she has been gracious and strong through all of this. He says he has repented to God and to her, and that he is stepping away from ministry for now. Now look. On one hand, the letter is more direct and less deflecting than we often see in these situations. He doesn't blame spiritual warfare exclusively. He doesn't throw his accusers under the bus, and he doesn't lawyer it up with vague language. That's worth noting. But on the other hand, he was reportedly outed before he chose to say anything publicly. So the question of how voluntary this transparency really is, that's a fair one to sit with. This story is still developing, and we'll continue to follow it closely. If you have information, reach out. If you're a ministry partner of Miracle Word Church or someone connected to this situation, we want to hear from you. Now, and I want to say this genuinely, none of us should be celebrating this. A church is closed. A family is hurting. A congregation that trusted their pastor is left without a spiritual home. These are real people. That matters. But accountability in ministry matters too. And transparency matters. We'll keep reporting the truth, and we'll let you decide what to make of it. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them. I'll see you in the next one.